Hello, today let's talk about FiiO FH15, new interesting hybrid model by FiiO. I think every single reviewer that will cover this model will start with explanation of what FH15 means here. And I won't be an exception, because when they announced this model I was kind of surprised, because by the old FiiO's numbering logic, like FH7 is like upper mid model, FH9 top model, and so on. So previously bigger number meant best offer. And actually FH15, like number suggests, should have been something like top of the tops by FiiO, but it appeared that it's a middle segment model. And new numbering means FH, it's hybrid earphones, then first figure explaining year or generation, so it's first generation, and 5 is like positioning. So it's like FH5 but new version. I hope that this numbering logic will stay with us for some time, because all that S, Pro X and so on is not very good to use, and adding year version is also not a perfect solution, so maybe this one will work good. It's a hybrid model with a single dynamic driver and 3 balanced armatures inside. Price is $230, official price. Of course it can vary depending on country, taxes and so on. And actually let's have a closer look. Package is usual, like superb. It's signature feature of FiiO products. Almost in all segments, including pretty affordable ones, they put a lot of effort to create good packaging. This one is not exception. Great style, great polygraphy with blow-up diagrams, some description of drivers and so on. Looks pretty fancy. Inside we're getting to the main cardboard box. Opens this way, so pretty big manual. They call it quick start guide, so pretty big book, but I actually never take a look and inside. So here are earpieces themselves. We'll take them out later. Then cardboard tray, so 2 pair of spare filters, big set of tips. So let me show. Great organizer for tips, by the way. And as you can see, like 2 pair of 2 flanges, 3 pair of single flanges and 2 pair of foams, like really perfect offer. And the hard storage case also, really convenient to use. This MMCX detaching tool, some more tips, that FiiO's HS18, their signature tips they announced recently, and even another jack, so just Pentacon this time, but actually almost all modern sources use Pentacon, so it's good. As you can see, accessory set and overall presentation are far beyond expectations. In terms of design, they are great, and basically it's that level that we often expect from FiiO. They made them of metal, they selected really interesting colors, somewhere between gray and blue, looks pretty attractive. As always, I need to ask my wife about the name of this color, because definitely it has some name. And they added this modest gold line around the faceplate, and they created shape by their words inspired by dragon scales, and they even have that scale-like pattern on the faceplate, so it's like scale and scale. Looks, in my opinion, really good. And also, as you can see, they are seamless, which increases the effect of this design. And they are pretty small in terms of size, so to my ears they fitting really well. And also they are unexpectedly closed back. No grills, no big vent holes or something like that. Just one compensational hole here, and that's it. They have average length of spouts with proper angle, but sound isolation is actually slightly above average to my ears. There is a lip for holding the tips and protective grill, but this part is removable. So you have to unscrew it and screw another one if you want to tweak the sound. Like classical traditional schema, approved by a lot of models and by a lot of years of audiophilia. Cable, of course, is made replaceable. Let's try to use this fancy tool. Insert it here and slightly rotate, but MM6 here holds really well, but without the tool it would be even more complex. But let me try to pull it just this way, so without a tool it appeared. Oh, and I found second vent hole here. Surprises, surprises. So, cable made with MM6 connectors, they have really good click and connection quality, so they should be durable, I suppose. There is ear hooks formed on the wire, and cable itself pretty attractive in terms of design, about average in terms of softness, not super stiff, but also not like ultra soft one. Microphonic effect is pretty low, and this ear hooks helps to keep it almost inaudible. There is a splitter with chin slider traditionally, and after this splitter it goes down braided right to that traditional interchangeable connector. So you unscrew this outer part, then use some force to remove this connector, and you can replace it, but I won't replace it now because I will need 3.5mm connector. And now look attentively, there is a notch, there is a groove and a notch inside of this connector, so they should be matched. Otherwise, if you are really strong, you can just damage this connector and then screw back and you'll get new connector. Good schema that I really like, and as you can see, in terms of design, it's also a really well done model. And of course, about the sound, I gave them about 48 hours of burn-in, and there were slight changes during first 10 hours or so, but they were not drastic, so just start enjoying them. Of course, a lot of things can be changed by filters and tips. For example, if you want more bass, you can use bassy filter and wide bore tip, but I don't think you really want that much low frequencies. If you want to make things more balanced, use treble tips and treble filter and double flange tips. It still won't be like super balanced or bright, because FiiO decided to make this model bit warmer, bit relaxed, and pretty enjoyable in listening, but definitely like not audiophilic. Don't expect here some boosted treble to give more energy and transparency and air. Don't expect bass here to be super fast and precise. No, it's more warmer, more relaxed, and targeted for those who prefer such signature. Actually, for me, it's like direct descendant of classical FH5, not FH5S, not FH7, 7S, 9, so no, it's just old good FH5s. And a lot of people over the internet already started cursing, swearing this model, saying that like they are awful or something like that, and often it's just based on the frequency response alone, and it sounds for me a bit hilarious, because of course frequency response is like objective measurement, but this objective measurement doesn't show even half of the picture. It's like trying to describe a photo by looking at color histograms in Adobe Lightroom. They are also objective measurement, but they're not enough to recreate the image, because a lot of additional information is losing. You take just one dimension of the photo and replace it with removing all other two dimensions. Anyway, let's go back to this model. So I decided to use this balanced tips and green treblish filters, and I like this tuning. I like these earphones. It's definitely not like won't be my like most favorite model. and probably even everyday driver, but it suits great for many cases, especially like if you are on the street and where you lose some bass, where you want to like stroll the park, for example, and just to listen some music without irritating you too much. And actually often I met comments like please suggest some earphones that won't be bright, and actually here they are. Anyway, so bass here is interesting. It's present, it's accented like 10 decibels of accent or something like that. It has good depth, and here used some new carbon based dynamic driver with special acoustic filter for that. But in general, overall tuning like a bit on the massive side. Resolution is normal, not great, and it's not trying to be like super resolving or filled with that small nuances on the low frequencies. But at the same time it has a bit of additional weight, it has a bit of additional body, and in many cases it sounds pretty pleasant, especially for the music that is relying on the big bass, but not only for that genres. In general, it's normal, pleasant bass, especially for those type of bass heads who want more weight and more presence. But at the same time, I won't say that like it has a super big bass with that treble filter. For me, it's like good amount and plus a bit more. So it's like a bit more than average, but still not too much. And let's go to the first example. Actually, meanwhile, my player went to sleep while I was preparing for this review. I selected some examples and then was distracted before this part, and it went to sleep. So anyway, interesting combination, and it's not only fitting for the electronic music or pop or rap genres, but also I like how it plays this bass with let's say trumpets, because especially that which created for the low frequencies, it's adding them additional body and a bit of additional lush. And first track is Daft Punk, Get Lucky, and actually bass line here is really pleasantly sounding, and the same mid frequencies also really well represented because of good resolution. And another example, it's George Michael, Symphonica Live, really great album, great performer. Track Wild is the Wind, and on this track they have that, like, you know, bass that appears somewhere from the deepest bottom, appears, then plays some notes, and then like disappears in the whole mix. And actually these earphones deliver it really nicely with good sense of realism, and their well-tuned mids also help George Michael vocals shine. Mid frequencies are actually really good, they are balanced, they have good balance between like speed and resolution and weight and emotions, so they are typically balanced armaturish neutral without big additional coloration. There is a slight hint of added warmth on the lower mids, but not too much here, and it doesn't overload like covering mids, so not hiding them. And in general, I really like mid frequencies here. They're not annoying. They actually decided not to make this typical peak at the upper mids. Actually, they made it, but not really big, so it's not like piercing or super forward. Sometimes it sounds like you lacking a bit of that presence and harshness at the upper mids, but when you use to this representation, actually it's a really pleasant and pretty natural way of representing everything. And also they are, because of absence of that peak and overall balanced mid frequencies, they are not super critical for the quality of records, because like something poor won't be highlighted, but of course better material always means better results here too. And example for the mid frequencies, first one will be Falling to Pieces by Faith No More. Actually I think this band still deserves more attention. Great band of their time, and still they remaining great. And of course, vocalist is out of this world. Anyway, this one is sometimes pretty aggressive, sometimes is not super forward in terms of distorted guitars, but in general really good clean mids, allows the mic pattern voice to show its full strength, and at the same time guitars doesn't sound too harsh, but still you understand that how they sound. And second one is actually on this album, this earphones a bit shifting perspective. It's Northern Kings, like best heavy metal bands vocalist from Finland, if I remember right, or maybe some neighbor countries, but probably it's a pure Finnish project. And with like more natural earphones you'll get more focus on the guitar part and something like that, but with this model with relaxed representation you're getting more attention to the male vocal because mids are clean and sounds pleasant, and also you're getting that sense of orchestra playing because of good weight on the low frequencies and also clean mids without that excessive spike on the upper mids. And you're focusing more on the vocal, and actually vocal of all members of this supergroup are beyond this world. And Hello, its cover, actually, if I remember right, it's Lionel Richie, and they gave this track second life, really enjoyable and pleasant. And I like that representation that allows you to shift the perspective of perceptance of this track. And the treble, it's pretty comfortable. Oh, sorry, forgot to tell about the stage on the mid frequencies. It's slightly above average in width. It's typical for me that warmer earphones sound a bit narrower, but I really like the depth. It's like super realistic and with good layering. And treble, it's pretty comfortable. Comfortable not in terms that it's absent, it's not just they don't have that added energy, it's a treble. And if you are not a fan of treble, it could be a really good option for you, especially if you select some balanced or bassy filters. You can get model where treble is present, but definitely not too forward. I'm a fan of forward treble, and that's why I'm saying that this pair won't be my number one, but as a second one it's a really good candidate. So treble is present with really good resolution, above average extension, but of course it's not super extended, not super layered, but it's enough to give you basic overtones of all instruments and all the things that happens in the mid frequencies. And examples, let's talk about the examples. First one is Refuge by Steven Wilson, and typically for Wilson tracks this one is filled with high quality percussion, both in terms of performance and record, and usually it sounds a bit like close to the to that level where I'd call them harsh. But here they are more relaxed, and still you get this resolution, clarity and separation, but not that forward. And second example, Van Halen, Hot for Teacher, one of the greatest intros in the history of heavy metal and music overall. Actually, if you write in comments songs that you think have great intros, I can think about Locomotive Breeze and both that keyboard part and then when they start the main song part. Also, I like, of course, classical things like Led Zeppelin, for example, but maybe there are some hidden gems that you want to share. And here we've got drums and then a lot of percussions, and they also pretty good, have good clarity and separation, but at the same time doesn't sound too sharp or forward. Speaking about the comparisons, actually just two models that I'd like to mention here. It's FiiO's FH15s, but F5s were semi-open with more airiness, more spaciousness, less warmth and closer to overall balanced sound. And FH5S, actually, like, this model is clearly based on that model, but with bit better developed treble in terms of technicalities, and also with more balanced mid frequencies. It's noticeable here. And actually I don't remember other models that could be close to FiiO's FH15. In terms of pairing, you can use them even with smartphone, but some good digital to analog converter will be a great plus. And of course, if you want like to fix their sound, make it more traditional, just select some bright sounding digital to analog converter like Hidis, for example. But to be honest, I don't think that there will be much sense in buying this model and trying to change their sound. I really like that FiiO created a model with unusual sound signature that hopefully will find fans of such tuning, because like there is not much sense in creating models that reminds each other with different drivers and different shapes but having the same sound, and that's good that we have such an experiment. So if you have an opportunity, just try to listen them, maybe you will enjoy them at least as a second pair as I do. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.